Welcome back, YCN Sports Talk. Jeremy Stout, Dustin Ribellini, and we are going to continue with the playoffs in the NFL, going over to the NFC side. And this NFC bracket as a whole, just your thoughts on that. I know you're a Giants fan, tough loss last week, but you got to imagine that these are probably the four best teams in the NFC. And some of them are the hottest teams, the Packers.
Well, we saw that last week with the Seahawks winning, 26-6, I believe,
yeah, really
in the 38-13 game for the Packers over the Giants. We saw that the margin of victory was not close, and I think rightfully so. These teams are very strong. Like you said, easily the best four teams in the NFC are left, coming in hot. The Packers won 7 games in a row. The Seahawks up and down, but showing that they still have a lot left in the tank. Going to be challenged when they go to Atlanta this week, though.
Let's get right into that Seahawks and Atlanta Falcons matchup. And right off the bat, you look at it and you say, okay, this is a rematch. They played already. Seahawks prevailing at home, but controversial ending on that one. Right, the Seahawks won.
Seahawks won by 2.
And it was that pass interference, holding the arm of Julio Jones. So question, does Seattle have the offense to stay with Atlanta, or is it going to be a situation where their defense is going to prevail and it's going to be a lower scoring game? If you're going to go into this thinking, which side do you think is going to prevail, the offense of Atlanta, or can Seattle defense make one last stand, because they're not as good as in the past, but they're still pretty good.
Oh, the Seahawks defense is still one of the better defenses in the league. It's always going to be. They're banged up without Earl Thomas, which has caused a few problems here down the stretch. The Atlanta Falcons, for me, are a team that's very overlooked. I think a lot of people are just kind of disregarding the Atlanta Falcons for some reason. This is a team that all season had one of the better offenses in the league, so you kind of wonder, why are they being discounted? They're at home. They locked up that 2 seed towards the end. I think the Atlanta Falcons have a good shot to win this game because of that offense. Julio Jones is healthy. Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman in the run game have provided a lot more than people thought, and Matt Ryan is playing like an MVP. I think the Falcons have a good chance to hold home serve here.
Yeah, and Taylor Gabriel. Yeah, he's kind of emerged in Julio Jones' absence. And also, you mentioned the running backs. They can catch passes out of the backfield. I mean, maybe they're not Le'Veon Bell out of the backfield, but they're still very, very good.
Serviceable.
And I think part of the reason, once again, we go back to the playoffs that have kind of haunted the Falcons. Matt Ryan hasn't really performed in the playoffs to some degree. I mean, he did get to the NFC Championship game.
But that was really the only season he had a good run. And that's why I think they're being overlooked, is a lot of people see the Seattle pedigree. And it's hard to give up on a team that's had so much success, like the Seahawks. It's hard to write them off, even though they're having not a great season. But I think a lot of people look at the Falcons and just say they haven't had a lot of success, and that's why they kind of get pushed to the back.
Right, our eyes can be kind of deceiving, and we always think the Seahawks are going to be there, and this year they're clearly a half a step behind, I think. So going over to the other game, Packers and Cowboys, unbelievable game by Aaron Rodgers, that offense. I got to imagine this game's going to be high scoring. Dallas, we saw, can't stop anybody. They didn't stop the Redskins on Thanksgiving. They haven't stopped teams down the stretch. And the Packers are questionable, but Aaron Rodgers is still there. It's going to be a high-flying game back and forth.
The Packers don't have a run game. They haven't had one for a few weeks now, but it hasn't stopped them. They've scored over 30 points a game in the last 5 games. They've won 7 in a row, averaging 35 points a game. This offense is going to put up points. You know that. On the road, at home, they're going to put up points. The question is, Jordy Nelson's now hurt. He's one of the bigger playmakers. He had a huge season. He looked like he kind of broke a couple ribs against the Giants. He's probably not going to play. How's that going to affect the offense? On the Dallas side, you just hope it's not, if you're a Cowboys fan, you hope it's not the letdown that you are fearing.
Right.
They had such a good season, 13-3, they lost their last game. Dak Prescott, you got to remember, Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, they're still rookies.
Right.
This is still the playoffs.
Yep.
So we're going to see how they adjust early in that game, if they can hold up with the experience of the Packers.
Well, and that's what I want to touch on, is Dak Prescott, because he has had such a good season. That offensive line has been so good in front of him and Ezekiel Elliott. Is this a situation where it's, you hear about that rookie wall for the running backs because of the carries, and Prescott, the big stage? It just seems like if it's going to happen, they better do it this week, because they get the Falcons next week. There's no let up in this NFC.
No, there's no let up in the NFC, and you're going to, like I said, you're going to see early which one of these teams settles in better. Can the Cowboys settle in early on in the game, show that they're not, even though they're rookies, they're still past their years? It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. You just want to see, can Dallas really solidify the number 1 seed?
All right, so quickly, we got to get wrapping up, but who is, if you're going to handicap this, who do you think is the favorite right now to get to the Super Bowl?
To get to the Super Bowl, I still think it goes through Dallas because they're the 1 seed. I'm not saying they're guaranteed to get there.
Oh, right.
But if I had to put one team, it'd probably be Dallas.
Right, because they'll have the 2 home games.
I think Dallas or Green Bay, the winner of that game, goes to the Super Bowl.
All right, so there are our NFL, AFC, and NFC wrap-ups for the playoffs. We'll get to our picks later in the show. And next week, we will be debuting a new segment, Prescription Playbook, sponsored by Valley Regional Hospital, where we will talk to some of the doctors at the hospital, going over NFL injuries, significant injuries. Rob Gronkowski with an injury, obviously a lot of Patriots fans familiar with. And we'll just be talking about what may impact the recovery and how it can happen, how you can prevent those injuries. Obviously, you're not playing football, but, you can get some small injuries here and there. So that is Prescription Playbook, sponsored by Valley Regional Hospital, debuting next week. When we come back, we'll talk college football. You're watching YCN Sports Talk.